I guess, per se, we lost it.
The Lewis family owned 480 acres of land and a homestead in northern Louisiana. Because the land was heirs' property, several distant family members were able to sell their share of it to a local timber developer named James Tuggle. Tuggle forced the sale of the land that happened last year.
My great-great-grandfather raised 13 kids where that house sits. I mean, there are so many heirs tied into the Lewis properties. It'll make your head spin. Taxes were always paid on time. We were under the impression that could no one person from the family just up and sell any part of the property without anyone being notified.
Do you all know the relatives that sold their part?
I've only seen one once.
You in New York, wherever, going on with your life, you don't really know nothing about this little country spot right here. You don't know nothing about this here.
As part of the legal process, the forced sale of heirs' property has to be publicly announced. In the Lewis's situation, a local newspaper posted a notice in the weeks leading up to the auction.
This is a small town. Okay, this is not like the Washington Post or New York Journal or whatever, you know. There's no paper out here in the country that's being delivered to the doorstep. You know, ain't no ball riding no bicycle throwing no paper on the front porch down here. So walk in and just do a family like that. I don't understand that. My mama keep the insurance on this house. She keep a roof on this house. She keep these bills paid on this house. You know, my thing is, your house has been here for years. Because of technicality, you uprooted a family.
Shortly after James Tuggle completed the purchase of the Lewis property last year, the sheriff evicted Michael. So this is where your
trailer was sitting here. Those are the steps to the front entrance. I called the sheriff. Well, it's his property. He can do with what he wants.
The sheriff saying that Tuggle could do what he wants.
He can do what he wants. It's his property. I suggest you move the trailer. He says, well, that's all I can tell you. Is there anything I can help you with? I told him no.
Michael ended up with a little over $2,800 for his share of the property. He used it to relocate his trailer home to a half-acre lot nearby.
Still got to put in a water line. The water line's across the road. I could be angry to the point that I want to do something to somebody. I mean, you're talking about 125 years of family heritage.
Michael invited us in to see the documents from the local district court that informed them their land was being targeted for sale.
This is a petition that came to us via the sheriff department. This is the very first document that we received.
You're hereby cited to comply with the demand contained in the petition, which office is in the town of Homer, said parish state. You have 15 days after
thrown at somebody that really can't understand some of the lingo, so to speak. And we get up to the office to find out exactly what it is that they're trying to say.
To make sense of these documents and get a better understanding of what happened to the Lewises, we visited the clerk of court, Brian Flynn.
Anything involving a partition lawsuit is filed here in this office. I'm the custodian of all of these records that you see. So you want to take this out in the front?
Yeah, we take it out.
All right, you do.
In case you've been living under a rock and you have no idea what HelloFresh is, this is the moment that I'm going to change your life. So, one.
When it comes to developers, what's the mechanism that they use to track down family members?
Okay, they'll come into this office, and then generally you know the piece of property that you're looking for. You know, whether that is because it's got some timber on it or something of that nature. Then what you do is you can look at the tax assessor's office, and the tax assessor's office will give you just a visual plat, a hand-drawn plat of how the property went from one person to the next person to the next person, and that's how they'll initially find out who owns the property.
So what happened with the Lewises?
The Lewises are a family that is spread out across the United States. So James Terry Tuggle buys into that property. Now, he didn't just buy a sliver of that property. He ended up buying somewhere in the neighborhood of 20%.
Understood.
Once he owns that,
Yeah.
he can force the entire thing to be sold.
And that's what he did.
Which he did.
I smell it. Over the course of a decade, Tuggle, a timber developer in town, bought the shares of more than 20 people connected to the Lewis property, most of them from out of state. He declined our request for an interview and didn't respond to our written questions.
So the sale happens at the sheriff's office, where it is publicly open for bid, and it's sold for $555,000.
And a bargain of a price, right?
Well, I mean, I don't know, $550,000.
For 500 acres?
Oh, I've seen 17 acres of land sold for $1,800. And believe me, that's disturbing.
The sale he's talking about was made in 2001 to a real estate investor named James Steele, who advertises his ability to force the sale of heirs' property. We caught up with him at a sheriff's auction nearby.
All right, suit number 41821, Trig Investments, LLC versus Maurice Hunter et al. The minimum acceptable bid is $2,294.25. The floor is now open for bids. Do I hear a bid?
A bid cost.
Okay, $2,294.25 is sold. Just put your name right there.
Morning, Jim.
Morning.
How you doing?
Fine.
What just happened today here?
Well, I bought an interest in a piece of land, an undivided interest, when it's inherited and there's a lot of heirs. I owned 24 acres out of the 52.
Before today you did?
Yes.
And now you came and purchased the rest. How much have you paid in total for 52 acres?
I would have to add that up because, don't get me wrong, I do a lot of these and I can't keep them all in my head.
How does heirs property fit into your overall business model?
To be truthful with it, it's probably 90% of my business model. Even going back to the Civil War, we're doing something that the people in Civil War had it. I mean, they were slaves and they had it. And I've had other landowners come to me and say, well, would you file a lawsuit for me and do this? Because I don't want to be the bad guy. You be the bad guy because you already been the bad guy. You do this all the time. I'll be the bad guy.
You recognize that what you're doing is perceived.
You look at me as evil.
No, I don't know. No, I'm saying no. No, I don't. No, what I'm saying is to the family member that wants to sell, you're bringing the bank, you're bringing the money. To the family member that doesn't want to sell, you're evil.
Probably in their eyes.
Yeah.
And some people are sincere about not wanting to sell. They mean it. Most don't. Most say that, but they don't mean it. They just want instant gratification and money now. But there are some that don't want to sell, and it's usually the ones that live on the property that are getting free rent, free everything.
But it's their land. That's not free rent.
Well, they only own a minuscule portion of it. I've heard it thousands of times. You can't make me sell my land. And then I respond back. I say, yes, I can.
But it's my land.
Well, it used to be.
Jim, that ain't real.
The bottom line is what you have is these families who many times owned property for generations, including families who acquired ownership right after the end of the Civil War. Their property rights are instantaneously extinguished, and then they are stripped of a significant amount of their overall wealth, not just their real estate wealth, because African Americans disproportionately who have assets, it's represented in land and homes. So their single greatest asset now has been sold at a fire sale.